are you in a relationship that's going nowhere? Let's start with whether it was clear to you from the beginning that your own intentions were to be in a relationship that's going somewhere, specifically toward marriage. Because if you're unsure whether you want the commitment, if you're telling yourself, I don't know if I want to let someone into my home, something I hear quite often, especially from women who are dating again after their first marriage, or if you're not sure whether this guy is someone you'd want as the father of your children, then chances are you are in a relationship that's going nowhere regardless of who the guy actually is. Because if you were with a man who knows what he wants, who has a very clear picture of where he sees himself in 5 years, who wants to get married and build a family, you'd agree with me that he wouldn't be in a relationship with someone who isn't sure about those things herself. In other words, if you were with a man who is heading toward marriage and children, you would know it. And if you yourself aren't sure how much you want to commit, then of course you'll end up with a man who doesn't give you the feeling that he's with you no matter what. Because if he were that kind of man, you'd probably have already left him because it would have made you anxious. So if you're asking this question, you're in the gray zone at best, and in the worst case, you'd better off leaving already. The gray zone is where many couples find themselves living together for years, functioning like a married couple, but never actually committing. Research shows that being in a relationship for several years before marriage, especially in your 20s, and especially if you don't live together, is actually a protective factor against divorce. In your 30s and beyond, however, when couples live together without getting married, it tends to reflect an inability to make a decision and an avoidance of commitment rather than a genuine commitment to each other that simply hasn't received the state's official stamp. There is a theory in psychology called inertia theory, which holds that the longer couples live together, manage a shared household, and build their lives as one, the harder it becomes for them to separate. So these couples may end up getting married not because they reached a conscious, deliberate conclusion that this is the right partner for them, but simply because they're already together. So why not pick up another tax benefit and register as married? And of course, engagements that drag on for a long time before locking in a venue date are an even more significant risk factor for divorce because they indicate that one or both parties aren't ready to follow through on the decision they made when they got engaged. So if you yourself are afraid to commit, or if you're in a relationship that's slowly drifting toward shared life without any explicit mutual decision that you want to commit to each other, then you may be in a relationship that won't lead to marriage and building a family. Thank you for watching.